So, good evening, students. Today is the 7th of September 2021, and we have some special guest speakers for our lesson today on the topic of crime. I have invited one of my friends, Alex, who works as a criminal linguist, and Miroslava, who is the head of the border police of Patricia, and they're going to tell us a little bit more about their jobs. You can ask them questions about the difficulties and what is the biggest challenge in their job, and just we'll see how the conversation will develop. Okay, so welcome to speak and ask whatever you are interested in. Okay, so Alex, do you want to just start with
Absolutely. I like to present things when I'm standing.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So I'm gonna be standing up and down, so I'm gonna make one of these available.
Yeah, just to make sure that you have a good marker to write on the whiteboard.
I think this one is good.
Yeah, let me see. And this one is the red one. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to draw something.
I think people are gonna be so scared if I start drawing things. I'm very horrible at that, so.
Okay, and there is one extra pen if you need to draw something on the whiteboard.
Thank you.
Here just to make sure.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys. My name is Christina Shushkov. I'm a criminal forensic linguist. It's criminal Bulgarian forensic. Probably many of you have heard the term
Forensic. Yeah.
right. Forensic linguist. Do you associate it with anything? Okay, good. That's gonna be a large part of the job, but basically what we do is we dissect the language for legal purposes. We conduct analysis on verbal and nonverbal speech, which is written in this case. And there's various facets that we are able to grab in order to make an analysis. And because I typically have a PowerPoint presentation when I'm presenting something, but right now I just have my little notes. All right, so the first, very quickly, about forensic linguistics is actually quite newish kind of a discipline.
Mm-hmm.
It was first established in the 1960s by a linguist called Jan, and I always forget his name, Svartvik. It's something Scandinavian, I think, or something along that lines. So basically, he was a professor in linguistics, and there was a murder case. Timothy Evans was convicted of murder, and he decided, let me just go in and get his transcripts and try to see what this person said to the police, here and there. So he went there and extracted all the transcripts. And after quite a while, he was able to determine that this is not Timothy who actually wrote this. It was actually very much the police officers who were intervening during taking his testimony. And this is, of course, very illegal. So this is when he first established the so-called linguistic fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there is a lot of debate nowadays in our field. Is there really a linguistic fingerprint or not? You can choose either way. I do believe that people have a specific style of expression.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are very careful in examining their statements, you'll be able to see that style no matter how they try to hide it. It's going to be visible, and the comma and the space and whatever the case may be, especially now with digital communication. So that was the guy in the 60s. He created that. From that point on, people started seeing a lot of value in this, like, whoa, can we, especially lawyers were like, if we can get our clients off the hook and trying to pinpoint some intervenants in their testimony, then we can get them out of jail, right? So they started looking into this, and they first got trained, I believe, by some members of the personnel. Further on, it was established into a bigger discipline. And so this is how it was established. And from that point on, of course, there have been a lot of research and massive body of research into pronouns, into commas, into the paraverbal, which is the tone of voice that people use when they communicate a message. This is, of course, not all of that is in my competency. My main areas are author identification, linguistic profiling. So author identification basically is, if you receive an email from somebody and you don't know who this email is from, and let's just imagine for the sake of the argument that they threaten you, which is, kind of brutal thing, then you would bring it to a forensic linguist. They will be like, look, do you have any suspects? And if you say, yes, I suspect Mary Stanisłava, then I'll be like, all right, good. Give me all the communication you have from them. I'll compare it, their style, to the style of the unknown author, and I'll be able to tell you there is 80% chance that it's Mary, or none that it's Mary, and so on and so forth. This is when we have something to compare it to. But very often we don't have something to compare it to, especially when it comes to threats, because it's just, nobody writes their name like I'm going to kill you and then, hi, it's me. So therefore, what we have to do is a linguistic profile. So basically, a linguistic profile is able to establish age, gender. I'm just going to quickly write them here. Age, gender. Do excuse my horrible handwriting. It's been like that for years. It did not. Okay. Socio-linguistic factors. Like, is this person a doctor? Very often, I actually had one case when somebody used the word esophagus. I'm like, that's not a term we both, like, you say throat, you're not gonna say esophagus. No, he grabbed me by the esophagus. And so then you have a little hint, you're gonna put it right in there, that this person probably has some interest or something to do with the medical profession, right? And then, of course, we're gonna sometimes be able to determine geographic location, yeah, right. And sometimes we're able to determine if this person is married, if this person has children, and so on and so forth. Now, what we don't do in this particular field is we don't say this person is a narcissist, he is angry, and so on and so forth. We don't do all of that. That's for another type of analysis that we do. But basically, this is what I'm trying to do in this particular part of forensic linguistics. Now, I'm also trained in statement analysis. My instructor is an FBI agent, and statement analysis is something different than forensic linguistics. So statement analysis deals with trying to establish if what somebody is saying is true, where is the sensitive information, what is the relationship between the subject and the people that are mentioned in the actual statement. And of course, sometimes we're also trying to establish if this person has any connections to other people, or if this person has any intent to do something else. Now, within statement analysis, I also do threat detection. Threat detection, suicide texts, let's just call them, because they can come in different forms. This morning I had to deal with one. Yeah, it's ransom notes. It's very interesting. In Bulgaria, I dealt with only one, but it was quite interesting. What does that mean? Ransom note? Yes. Well, when I kidnap you and then I ask your parents for money. That's basically what it is.
What did you say that in Bulgarian? Otkup, yes. Ransom notes.
Right. Yeah. So this all falls within the competency of statement analysis. I'm just gonna write it quickly. So it's deception, sensitivity, relationship, and status, which could mean a lot of things. Could mean this person is a lawyer, this person is a doctor, this person is married, is about to get divorced, whatever the case may be. So these are two different parts of almost the same thing, right? Now, what's very important, because I do use this a lot more than I use that, right? Because we don't have a lot of texts that arrive that are from unknown author. So I do use statement analysis almost on a daily basis in my cases. What is very important to be learned about statement analysis is that when people produce and transmit language, we interpret, we do not listen. And they train us to listen and not to interpret. And that train of thought, I'm gonna give you guys a little test, and Mary, you can also take it. Because I think it's gonna be very interesting for everybody to see what exactly I mean when I say that we interpret.
This one is shade yogi. This
There
is
you
the
go.
text. Shades of
There you go.
blue yogi.
All right. Now, it's not an IQ test. One time I was doing this seminar and they were like, "Is this an IQ test?" I was like, "No, don't worry." So basically, I'm gonna say a word, and I want you to mark whatever you first thought of looking at the chart. Blue.
So this is the what did you say?
I say the word blue. Now mark whatever shade of blue you thought about.
So we just choose one.
Number
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
So
just
like
whatever. Just write on the circle. It's
blue. Just
yeah,
write
no,
blue.
no, just write whatever shade you thought about when I said
this
the word
one,
blue.
This one.
Okay.
Mhm. Just tick
Nie,
it.
bro, ja nie będę, nie ma znaczenia.
Just tick the shade of blue that you associate it. When you say blue, yeah.
All right.
Like this one.
Okay.
I chose this one.
Now, if we actually lift the sheet, maybe a lot of people would see that this is what Mary chose. Did you choose this one?
Yeah.
Did you? You?
No.
You?
No.
Right. It always happens this way, right? And this is to show that when we use language, I may be able to say a word that is of some conventional meaning, like the word blue, but we're all thinking about a different thing. So therefore, do not assume that you know what people say, because you don't. If I say the word boy, right? Maybe Mary thinks maybe her son right now because he's on a call, right? You may be thinking, oh, this hot guy I saw, the other day in the club, something. I'm thinking about my son, for example, who's 9, right? We all have a different definition, and this is why language is subjective. And in this field of statement analysis, what they're going to be teaching you is to never take language as objective as like, I understand what you're saying. You never understand. It almost becomes like a second nature, and this is how you conduct yourself now in your personal life, where you ask 1,000 questions, people think you're interrogating them. Anyways, so this is basically to just illustrate to you that language is very subjective. Now, what does that mean in terms of our profession? Now, when I get somebody that I have to interrogate, I don't like to use this word. I think it's very invasive. When I have to interview, right? That's what I always say. My colleagues are criminal psychologists, so they do interrogate. Mary, do you have
An eraser?
Yes.
Yeah, there is
Thank you.
one here. Oh,
thank you.
Which part do you want?
Just you guys okay if this is right?
yes, yes.
All right.
Which part?
I mean, just leave me a good, as you can see, I don't save space at all, so just raise it all.
Yes, okay. So when you can leave this space
Okay.
to talk about that,
All right.
you don't need more.
Sure.
Yes, there is the rest. Okay.
Okay, so you get your subject, the subject is typically the person that will come in for analysis. It's very impersonal and very called, but we do call them subjects. Did I write it? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I wrote on a whiteboard.
Yeah.
All right, so you get your subject, and typically what the procedure in Bulgarian, courts and, well, not courts, in Bulgarian, police stations or whatnot is they use their own methods in order to question people. And if you've seen any movie, any action movie for that matter, with the good cop, bad cop, that's what happens. For the purposes of our analysis, we do not want that. We want the person to enter the free editing. And if we're not able to get the person into this, then we're not going to be able to obtain a statement and make an analysis. The free editing process is when you go and you select words by your own will, without any force, any external force, nobody threatening your life or, standing over there with a bat. I've seen that happen. None of that. You select it, you put in the order you want to put it, you use the tense you want to use, then you go and transmit it, whether it's going to be written or verbal, whatever the case. And then what we do, this is called the preliminary interview, and in the event